In this video we're going to look at something new, and that would be a two-dimensional array. I actually got this idea from the Small Basic Manual, which I know we don't look at very often, but this is actually a nice example. I have enhanced it a little bit. Okay, so we have this program, and what it's doing is building, and this is one huge array here. And what it's done is it has built what we call a two-dimensional array. And in each cell of this array, or element in this array, we place a random color. Okay, so the array is built, and then once it's all in place, I have programmed it so that the array will destroy itself and the colors will fly away. So let's talk a little bit more about the two-dimensional array and how we're able to set that up and work with it behind the scenes. Okay, let's not get two-dimensional arrays mixed up with parallel arrays. This is a different technique. You'll see maybe some similarities, but they're really quite different. Recall that the parallel arrays were two or more separate arrays that contain related data. So in our last video we were working with the 12 Days of Cupcakes, and we had two distinct arrays in that program. We had the cupcakes array and the numbers array, and they were separate from one another, so you could imagine something like this in memory. Now the two-dimensional array is just one big array, so I have a smaller version of that, the one that you just saw in the program, and we just have one array in this program. We're calling it boxes, okay? And this is how it's set up behind the scenes. It's really like a table, or like a bingo card, or tic-tac-toe game, checkerboard, however you want to think about it. But basically the two-dimensional array is set up in rows and columns. So I just added a few colors here so we could get the idea. But this two-dimensional array has 5 rows numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 5 columns, again numbered 1 through 5. So basically when you're working with a two-dimensional array, you don't have just one index, you have 2 indexes, and this is kind of strange to get used to. So for example, if I want to reference this element in the array, this one right here with the red, basically, you can imagine that like a cell in a table, but it's an element in your two-dimensional array. So to reference that guy, I have to provide his row number and his column number. Now he's in row 1, column 1. So if I wanted to reference that element, I would write something like this: boxes, which is the name of the array, and row 1, column 1. Okay? If I want to reference this element here, we're in row 1 still, but column 2. So I would say boxes 1, 2. Again, row 1st, column 2nd. This one, we're in row 1 still, column 3. So I would say boxes 1, 3 to put a value into that particular element. Here, the purple one, we're now in row 2, back in column 1, so I would say boxes 2, 1. So I think a common mistake, even though this might be relatively simple to grasp because we've all worked with tables in one form or another in Excel or something like that, but I think a common mistake would be for students to reverse the indexes. Again, we always do row and then column, and so I have found an easy way for you to remember. It's always row 1st, column 2nd. If you can imagine RC cola, row, column, RC, or if you prefer, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. So just remember these little, just use these little tricks to keep that straight in your mind. It's row 1st, column 2nd when working with two-dimensional arrays.